Why should I practice meditation or alchemy like you're promoting when semen retention is a natural process? This is a question that I got on the channel just a few days ago, and it's a legit question. I thought, what a fantastic question, and let me address it. And I've had this question come up before, which is, why would I practice alchemy or meditation or these other techniques that you're promoting and that you're selling as part of your training course? Why would I need to do that when the reabsorption of semen happens naturally? The body after 7 to 10 days is going to reabsorb semen. It's going to distribute all of my best proteins, enzymes, and nutrients through my bloodstream. I'm going to get the testosterone spike. And then I get the guys who are like, kind of angry about it. They're the ones probably need to practice the most, but right? They're like, why would you say that when Mike Tyson, he practiced for 5 years and became heavy world champ? Like, yeah, Mike Tyson was also a very angry dude who beat women. So, like, let's talk, holistically, just because he became heavyweight world champ in that day doesn't mean that his whole life is something to admire. Now, I'm a big fan of Mike Tyson. That's no diss to him. And I actually really appreciate who he is today and his different disposition and how much he's worked on himself. But I'll tell you why meditation could have helped him. And ultimately, I promote alchemy, coupling it with your semen retention journey, because that's how it was always done for thousands of years. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you a little bit of why I do believe that you should be meditating or taking on some alchemist practice or transmutation practices. I'll talk a little bit about what that is, just in case you're brand new to that idea. And I'll talk about the 3 types of guys that I generally see coming to NoFap and semen retention and the difference between them. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Nikula Das, and I help men master their S3X energy so you can become a powerhouse both in and outside the bedroom. Go to the link in the description below and take the free transmutation guide. This will have you getting started on your journey to S3X mastery. You'll learn some meditation techniques, some breath work, and all the different things that I teach inside of the Alchemist course. Inside that free course, you'll be introduced to it and have some things to work on. And of course, this is why I got the question. You're promoting that you should do all these other techniques and breath work and muscle control to be successful at semen retention, but I can just do it with willpower and get all the benefits. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to get the biological benefits, and you'll definitely see some of the psychological benefits, but you won't be getting the full spiritual, energetic, emotional, psychological, and physical benefits. The reason I also promote meditation coupled with your semen retention practice is because the essence of semen retention comes from the spiritual systems. The purpose of semen retention at its core and essence is to transfer or alchemize or transmute a lower energy into a higher energy, lust into love, material into spiritual. That is its purpose and that is its root. So it was always coupled with meditative practices. In fact, monks and yogis at very high levels would not talk about alchemy and S3X alchemy and cultivation, because they knew without those practices, it could be used and most likely will be used in a destructive way. And I've experienced this in my own life. There's this movie, I think it's called Man of Tai Chi. Thank you. My wife is whispering it to me in the background. Man of Tai Chi. So in that movie, the student of Tai Chi is learning all of these amazing techniques, and his master keeps saying, you need to meditate. You need to meditate. And he's like, no, I don't need to meditate. I don't need to meditate. And what we eventually see is he progressively gets more and more aggressive, more material in his consciousness. He ends up even betraying his master, going and fighting all the way up to the point where he was going to kill someone for money because he became a great and famous fighter. But his master was warning him the whole time, if you don't meditate, all of this will end up going bad for you. Well, I compare that just like to semen retention practitioners who practice semen retention like a Mike Tyson, and will get that power and will get that energy and will get those spikes of testosterone and that aggression. But unless it's transmuted or dovetailed, it will come out in a very aggressive or frustrated or lusty or angry way. I've had so many guys come to me and say, Nikula, when I practice NoFap or semen retention, I just want to punch a wall. or other guys are like, I want to cry, or other guys are like, I just can't stop thinking about S3X. It actually pushes me to go to the hub more. That's what happened to me when I was practicing without the practices. I thought, I'm above the practices, I'm okay without it. No, because actually it's going to accelerate or expand what's already in you. So if we use Mike Tyson as an example, he was angry, he was fearful, he talks about this openly, he was aggressive. So as a fighter, he channeled that all into the ring because he wanted to become heavyweight champion of the world. So he got the biological and some of the psychological benefits from it. Mainly, he wasn't distracted by women, and he put all of his effort into becoming champion. Many fighters do this. Many businessmen do this. Many politicians do this. Many CEOs do this. And they operate at very high levels because they're not distracted. But many of them, just like a Mike Tyson, have tremendous amounts of fall downs where they end up ruining their marriages, or they end up going and sleeping with tons and tons of women and having babies with many women, and then have lawsuits and child support bills and, divorce, and they're in court all the time and half the time, and they bring on all of this stress onto their life because that lust eventually runs them and eventually ruins them. So the practice of semen retention shouldn't be taken lightly. I'll take from another show, Avatar. In the cartoon, if you haven't seen it, it's about this kid who's the Avatar, Aang, who is mastering all the elements of and of his practices, and essentially, saves the world. And the last element that he learns is fire. And there's a portion in the series where he's playing with fire before he's ready, and he ends up burning his girlfriend and himself, and he talks about, I'll never play with fire again. That's like, I'm comparing that to like semen retention. Semen retention without the practices or without taking on the techniques of alchemy or some lineage of practice is like drumming up all this fire in your system, but not transmuting it properly. So the first guy who comes to semen retention and nofap is the kind of the ladies guy. He's like at the first level of the school, of the practice. He figured out, I can be more attractive. He's listening to all these guys on YouTube like, man, I'm pulling so many women on this semen retention thing. I just don't masturbate and I get so many women. Well, first of all, I guarantee you there's more to it than that, because if you as a man are full of frustration and you practice semen retention, it's just going to make your frustration go higher, which is going to make you repel women. I promise you there's more to it than that. But even let's say that was true. Yes, semen retention does naturally make you more attractive biologically and psychologically to women. It's not the purpose of it. And eventually those guys end up leaving the lifestyle anyways. They can't do it because as soon as they get with a woman, boom, they ejaculate anyways during S3X, and then they generally ride the lust train back down to the old habits. So they come and go. The second type of guy is a guy who's after power and wealth. He figured out, like in the book Think and Grow Rich, that he's distracted from putting all of his genius and his essence and his intellect and his power into creating wealth and growing his material situation. And then the third guy is the guy who's on the spiritual path. Now, the beauty about the spiritual practitioner is he also gets the attraction factor from women, and he also gets the power and wealth. But more importantly, he gets higher consciousness, he gets more love in his life, and in turn, he better uses his power, his wealth, and his attraction. See, the guy who doesn't meditate, the guy who doesn't take on the practice of actually shifting his heart or consciousness along with retention, he ends up falling back into lusty behaviors. In fact, it can just accelerate it and expand it. Because semen retention expands what's in you. It doesn't necessarily transform it on its own. What transform it is dovetailing the practice with these practices of alchemy that take your material qualities and turn them into spiritual qualities, that take your qualities of selfishness and turn them into qualities of selflessness. And that's where you get all the benefits. So I'm working with guys who are generally on a spiritual path. They're either very strong in their faith and recognize that pornography and illicit sexual behavior is taking them away from God. They can feel it in their consciousness. It goes against their values. Or I'm working with guys who not necessarily are part of a religious group, but they generally want to expand their consciousness and experience this type of energy. And they're running businesses or they have families and they're in the world because that's what these practices are made for. So remember, semen retention in its essence is a spiritual practice. It has material benefits: power, wealth, magnetism, charisma, more energy, more focus. All of that's designed to actually put into your spiritual practice. And yes, attraction of women. I've helped men, reverse erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation, feel powerful in the bedroom. You can be an intimate and better lover through these practices. Holistically, by taking on these practices, you simply are going to operate at a better standard and higher quality of living. Dovetail with semen retention, you're going to amplify that energy and turn it into spiritual power that's going to allow you to vibrate at a higher level. And when you vibrate at a higher level, you can see the path to a great bank account without sacrificing your values or your family. You can see the path to a great life without getting caught up in the 1,000,001 distractions because you're contained, you're focused, you're energized. Without the practices, or without some kind of meditation or prayer or some kind of practice to transmute that energy, most likely you'll just fall back into the old habits or perpetuate them. And oftentimes you can do more damage than good by taking on this practice. So that's my warning sign. That's my answer to that question. Let me know what you took away from it. And also, if you've got questions, leave it in the comments below. I love to, hear questions, thoughts, different opinions and perspectives. I like this to be an open channel where guys can talk and feel safe to be able to explore this world and really take on this lifestyle if you so choose and get all of its amazing benefits, both materially and spiritually. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button or the bell button so you never miss a video. I got 2 videos a week coming out for you. And if you want to take the next steps and learn more about working with me at a higher level, make sure you go in the description and the link to my calendar is there. See you on the next video.